Assalamu alaikum, welcome to our podcast. I'm Tameem bin Nasir.
I'm Ahmad and Tameem.
Khadijah,
Sahaab,
and welcome to
हम
Chaar Awazaar. हम आवाज़ार क्यों है यार?
पता नहीं यार. Why is there so much feeling in that line? I'm just the way you feel like
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to episode 1, Coping with Chaos. I am Ahmad Aziz.
Tameem bin Nasir.
Sahaab Noor.
And I'm Khadijah. So basically, today what we're going to be talking about is how do we cope with the chaos of it all. First of all, कि chaos आ कहाँ से रही है? और हमारे लिए mainly it's coming from the university experience of it all. 4 different people from different places, from different mindsets वगैरह. हमारा एक वो जो different backgrounds हैं, लेकिन we're united at one university at one place. And how does that impact like हमारे perspectives different क्या है? If you guys had to talk about university experience, आपके लिए क्या है? How did it change you?
So yeah, इस पे after first year, we actually decided कि हम कुछ 10-15 दोस्त ना कि हम हर साल के बाद कुछ questions, same questions, repeating questions पूछेंगे to see how we answer those questions differently every year. So one of those questions is how would you describe your previous year in one word? So for me and for a couple of other friends, the word was chaos for first year. And that truly explains how my first year actually was. It was total chaos. And if I had to explain or elaborate that, I would say आप college experience से आते हो, and university is a very liberating experience to see all the different opportunities. Like यहाँ एक दफ़ा आपका गोल होता है कॉलेज लाइफ में कि यूनिवर्सिटी पहुँचना किसी तरह पहुँच जाते हो, देन यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ ऑप्शंस के मैनी डिसाइड कि अब स्टडी करना है, कुछ कहते हैं आप सोसाइटी वर्क भी करेंगे, बैलेंस रखेंगे, कुछ कहते हैं बिल्कुल पढ़ाई नहीं करना, चिल करना है. तो लाइक एक्चुअली हैविंग सो मेनी ऑप्शंस एंड ऊपर से जो मेडिकल स्टडीज इटसेल्फ ओवरवेलमिंग है, आई थिंक दैट कंट्रीब्यूटेड टू द chaos for me in university. So yeah.
I feel like when I was in college, I was very limited. Like I knew where I wanted to go, where I see myself like after a few years. I knew कि मुझे medical में जाना है, and I had this like satisfaction कि मुझे पता है कि आगे की ज़िंदगी में क्या होना है. लेकिन coming to university, even though I'm enjoying the whole process of the uncertainty, लेकिन it's like I'm standing at one place and there are like 500 paths and there's so many opportunities, and it's kind of very confusing and overwhelming at times. But I also like it like in a way कि I'm not limited to one thing, but it's also very chaotic क्योंकि मुझे ये नहीं पता कि मैं आगे क्या करूँगी, आगे क्या होगा, how am I gonna see myself.
जब हम लोग chaos की बात करते हैं ना in the context of university, तो majority लोगों के लिए the पढ़ाई element of it all massive उसकी एक contribution होती है to the chaos. For me that was not the case. Completely understand why it would be, लेकिन मेरे लिए नहीं था because थोड़ा वो होता है कि हम जरा FSC वाले बच्चे होते हैं, थोड़ा सा हमें थोड़ा सा अंदाजा होता है कि अच्छा हाई प्रेशर सिचुएशन के साथ पहले भी डील किया हुआ है, हाई सिलेबस कंटेंट के साथ पहले भी किया हुआ है, तो चलो ये भी कर लेंगे, जैसे एंड पे पढ़ के कर लिया, whatever works. मेरे लिए the chaos part of it was कि this is not just सिर्फ एक मेडिकल वाली चीज नहीं है, the university experience, that's the part where it got a little tricky for me because अब आपको you have to find your place in the world, right? कि आपको एक ऐसी थोड़ी सी comfortable जगह भी मिले जहाँ पे आपके लिए थोड़ी comfort भी हो, where you're accepted but you're also like given space to grow, and finding that in terms of people, in terms of social life, but also in the context of opportunities and कि आपने societies कौन सी join करनी है, and आपने किस type के लोगों के साथ associate करना है, and how high do you want to aim और वो सब. तो वो सारी जो चीज़ें थी ना, उन सारों को navigate करना मेरे लिए तो I think that was a huge part of the chaos. Like obviously एक वो passive stress बहुत रहा है पढ़ाई का भी, लेकिन that ended up getting figured out.
I think when it comes to the chaotic aspect of things, it was merely the fact that we were all dropped into university running. Like we were expected to pick up on everything that was being thrown at us and basically just produce it again the very next day, because that's just how we work, which is totally not how I work. And it was really confusing. I was given no time to adjust and sort of figure things out for myself. New country, new place, new people, everything. So all of that was kind of thrown onto me. And I saw people doing it, like just balancing all of that so well. And that's just another negative impact that I kept seeing around myself. And I think like one of those stories would be, I think it was the first week itself, जहाँ पे हम लोग anatomy कर रहे थे, and we started off with the easiest bone in the human body, the clavicle. मुझे याद है कि मैंने clavicle, I think I had my sister's those plastic bones. And I had those. मैं देख रहा हूँ उसे, I'm
Your
like trying.
sister's plastic bones?
Just to clarify, it wasn't her exact clavicle. It was the. Oh yeah. Oh wait a minute. I should probably clarify. She's also a medical student. She does not just have a collection of bones that I know of. So keeping that aside, I remember completely freaking out about the clavicle. I could not understand anything. Anterior, posterior, it made no sense to me. Teachers were speaking too fast. Students picked it up too quick. My parents were too. I think that one day I asked them, they were busy. The one day, they're great people, but the one day I asked them, they were busy. And everything just kind of like a cascade of bad things. And that was the first time I legit just felt lost. Like, I've never had this feeling of, "Yaar, mujhse nahi hone wala." I've always been the kind of person, जितना भी काम है, जितना भी होगा यार, हो जाएगा. मैं तो शुरू हो गया यार, अब मैं डॉक्टर नहीं बन सकता, मुझसे क्लेविकल ही नहीं हो रही, मैं क्या बैठ के करने वाला हूँ. That was a huge
बहुत
shock.
ज्यादा लोग होता है मेडिकल कॉलेज में, अभी तक होता है.
It
मतलब
took me 2 months to learn clavicle.
हाँ, और इस तरह ना पूरा पहला साल तो पूरा इसी में अक्सर गुजर थे कि पढ़ना कैसे है. उसके बाद लाइक ओवरवेलमिंग एक्सपीरियंसेस तो आते रहते हैं. सेकंड ईयर में भी आ जाते हैं. सेकंड ईयर में एनाटॉमी के कुछ मॉड्यूल में इतना सिलेबस होता है लाइक यार ये होता ही नहीं कवर. तो ओवरवेलमिंग एक्सपीरियंसेस दे आर वेरी कॉमन इन यूनिवर्सिटी इन जनरल, ऊपर से मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी में और भी ज्यादा है. तो आई थिंक दैट इज ट्रू. It's a very high pressure environment.
At some point, you see all these people that have given up so much about themselves into doing so, and you're like, is that the price I'll have to pay? Because I do not want to pay that price.
It is a trade-off. Like, there are no solutions in life. So, a great
But
person
this
once
is
said,
too big of a trade-off.
Yeah,
But
Clearly.
also,
but like-
there is a solution. The solution is the balance. The solution is the
a balance
coping.
is a trade-off.
It isn't,
It
though.
doesn't have to be such a big negotiation. It also फिर वही बात आ जाती है ना कि आपकी priorities किधर
It
lie
also has to
करनी
do
है.
with your abilities, though. Yeah.
What do you think about
Like
that?
I let me explain that. If a person has to work harder for something that another person can give less time to, so that person's balance, it's harder for the person to balance his life with other events or like with fun if he has to work extra hard. I'm an example for that. Like, I have to work super hard for something, so I leave less time for myself to enjoy. And so like I'm either enjoying or I'm studying most of the time. I can't do them simultaneously because I really like I'm probably underestimating myself, but like it's been through this for the most of my life. So Khadijah, she does exceptionally good at this. She like उसने कह रही थी कि end पे जाके पढ़ लेती है. She does fine. I mean, there are people like that, and like you also have to see every person is unique in their abilities, and there's so many different people over here. People manage to do both stuff, fun and academics, and some people
the
just do
balancing
academics.
act of it all. In some ways, I think I agree, but there's some disagreement there as well. कि वो ठीक है, मुझे थोड़ा सा ये भी लगता है कि जो आपका fun है, how do you know आपका fun how do you define that fun? कि
What
like
is
अगर
fun?
तो अब हाँ like अगर आपके लिए fun है to hang out with people, तो वो मुझे लगता है कि you can equally space it out, right? कि लोग ऐसा भी करते हैं कि वो 8-8 घंटे पढ़े, फिर जब उन्होंने they have to take a break, तो they're gonna दोस्तों के साथ बाहर चले जाएंगे और they'll call it a day, but like they've had a productive day and then you of study and then also वो. लेकिन फिर आपका वो ये कि like आपको उस फन की कितनी ज़रूरत है, आपको फ्रीक्वेंसी कितनी चाहिए, तो I think that's very customizable और वो सब.
All right, I'll add something here. Okay, for me, it's like जब मैं suppose कोई बड़े exam के लिए पढ़ रहा हूँ, तो like I'll try to get the dopamine from studies in those days because I need that. I need fun from studies to make it not look like a prison. So I want to make the experience fun. So like I try to study so much that I start enjoying it. So I'm that type of a person. If I jump somewhere else, let's say social media or like hanging out with someone, like I get the dopamine from there, and that's the easy dopamine, I'd say. And once I get that dopamine, it's harder to go back to that hard part, the studying part. So I try to make my breaks less of escaping from study and like more from like just a physical break or like a mental peace.
I mean, I think if you're talking about stuff like that, it's more towards coping mechanism when we're in the phase of studying. But the one thing we do have to realize is medical does not have to be 24/7 studying. There is the balancing act that was mentioned before, which we should focus on. And when it comes to that, it's very important to understand the kind of person you are and what's fun for you. And like you said, there's certain things which you can't do. But that's what university is for. You're here for 5 years. Why do you want to leave this university with a bunch of random facts in your head when you can do so much more? I've always said this, and like I'll stand by it. And BBS is such a crash course on maturity that it's not even a joke. Like if you compare where you'll be 5 years down the line versus where you're high school friends are going to be, there's going to be so much difference. Even though they've had, speaking numerically, they've had 5 years as well. But MBBS gives you so much in such little time that you need to figure out a way to kind of grow and not just be stuck in books, because you're going to miss out on so much that it's just.
I realize this too. I mean, this is my first year. After first year, मेरा एक goal है कि this is probably our last 5 years जो कि responsibility से के बगैर है. इसके बाद से we're going to be living our adult life. Let's just say that. So like, once and after that, I started realizing this is not a medical university. This is like also my university, which is my home. Let's just say that. So university is pretty much a home. College नहीं होता. कॉलेज में आपके दोस्त होते हैं जो देर काइंड ऑफ होम टू यू, लेकिन यूनिवर्सिटी बिकम्स अ होम टू यू. इसमें आप लाइक रियली बिग इवेंट्स और यू काइंड ऑफ लिव हियर, योर ब्रेन्स ऑलवेज हियर, दैट बिकम्स योर आइडेंटिटी एज वेल. तो इट्स माई गोल नाउ ऑन के जो है ना इन 5 सालों को लाइक एंजॉय देम टू द फुलेस्ट और हैव फन.
Also, I feel like a medical student like बहुत specific image होता है for all the people कि they have to be like this. So most people who come here, unwillingly they mold themselves into being that specific person. They forget to do the things they wanted to do, right? Like they want to have fun, but they think, oh, we are medical students, we cannot like have fun. So I feel like you need to see that you are just another person. Like you are a medical student, but you are also human. You can have fun. So
Also, like while we're talking about balance, right? तो मुझे तो लगता है कि fun के अलावा भी ना एक ठीक है fun वाला factor भी है, लेकिन encouraging your own growth in like other ways as well. कि like how आप अपनी जो skills other than academics या other than your something that would help you out like बहुत specifically professionally, like आपकी जो आपकी leadership skills हैं, आपके कितना अच्छा बोल सकते हो, क्योंकि वही है ना जिस तरह you said कि it's a crash course. देखिए अगर हम सिर्फ यूनिवर्सिटी को देखें तो लाइक कि आपके अच्छा इसके बाद आपने प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में एंटर होना है, अभी जितना सीख सकते हो you know you're allowed to mess up and there won't be consequences इतने ज़्यादा. Once you're out of here, that's the real life. Okay? Then it's not like ठीक है बस एक stage था और थोड़ी देर बेइज्जती हो गई और बस वापस आ गए, ठीक है. Then it's going to be like your actions have proper consequences that are affecting you and your patients or the people that you value. So I think it's very important that aspect as well. If you keep prioritizing your academics that much, that you're like sacrificing on all of this other stuff, so here you're just you're also compromising on the kind of person you could bloom into.
Yeah, like it's very right. पिछले दिनों एक सीनियर भी हमें बात कर रहे थे कि I'll jump back to academics लेकिन for a reason कि वो कह रहे थे कि as a medical student कई final year के students होते हैं, they don't have those social skills. Like you have to build them along the way. History लेना like as a doctor you have to have very good social skills. So this part of growth is very important. How to learn to deal with people and in these 5 years we can build on that. Like लोगों से कैसे बात करनी and how to become how to understand people. So it's very important to actually grow in this area.
I remember one of our OSPs as well. उसके अंदर मुझे याद है कि I was saying these exact same things to like a bunch of people and like Tameem was there as well, because हम लोग कोई रात के 12 बजे LTC के बाहर बैठे हुए थे and we were preparing for our OSP, which by the way make no sense whatsoever.
बस cool लगता है बहुत कि हम OSP देने जाते हैं, like after our theory exams we have these practical OSPs.
It's such a fancy word though. Like Ahmed just got to know it means objectively structured practical examination.
I did not know that that was the full form.
Yeah, so like it was such a new thing to my parents. They would have so much fun and like पहली OSP देके आया ना मैं, तो जैसे निकला मैं OSP देके अम्मी का मैसेज मैंने फोन पे देखा, how was your OSP, and you know how she wrote OSP, she wrote AUSPIE. It was so cute though.
Honestly, and they've butchered the entire concept of it because they can make us do so much like actual important stuff, but they've done none of that.
It's an interesting concept though कि क्या करना है, लेकिन how they actually the syllabus they have for it, how they carry it out, that's trash. Like the idea is pretty good.
So even with all of this, I remember कि हम सब लोग बैठे हुए थे, हम लोग पढ़ रहे थे, एक रात पहले ही पढ़ना होता है, तो उसके अंदर मुझे याद है कि like I kept saying, guys, like 12 बजे यूनिवर्सिटी में बैठने, you can never imagine this in high school.
Yeah.
So I was enjoying myself. It was winter, the weather was great, the view was just our own university, and like me and Tameem were filming time lapses. We're doing weird dance moves, weird fighting moves as well, and I look behind me, and everyone's in their books. Like not a single person even looking up to see what's happening. Everyone's just so lost into something that will literally take you a few more hours to finish. Like इतनी जल्दी भी क्या यार, मतलब उस साथ सोना तो नहीं था obviously, एक पहले ही पढ़ना होता है, लेकिन कुछ तो मजा करो कि तुम्हें कुछ याद रहे. Now and I think we did pretty
I did
decent
good
on
in
that
it. I
OSCE
did
as
good.
well.
Yeah.
तो वो भी हो गया, साथ memories भी हो गए, साथ we've had fun. It's something that's been lost in this
Yeah, plus
university.
like I think if you've made it too medical ना, तो आपके वो some sort of I think के reflexes बन गए होते हैं पढ़ाई के मुतालिक कि
It
जिस तरह
dominates
वो
my mind. Yeah.
हाँ
Right.
कि it's gonna get done. Self confidence in your पढ़ाई abilities होती है ना, that is a huge thing. लेकिन you can get done with it. या at least आप पास हो सकते हो.
The way I'm finding out of my, we want to call it bad place, जिसमें मैं कहता हूँ कि नहीं, मैंने हर वक्त या पढ़ना है हर वक्त या हर वक्त enjoy करना है, there's no middle ground. I'm getting out of it कि by साहब कह रही थी ना कि जो takes a lot of pressure off you जब आप ये सोचते हो मैंने सिर्फ पास होना है. Like मैं इससे पहले ये था कि यार करना है काम, अच्छा करना है, अच्छा पढ़ना है, सही तरह समझनी चीज. Now I'm giving up on it a little bit कि खैर है यार, हो जाए थोड़ा सा गुजारा कर लो, गुजर जाए
But
गुजारा.
sorry to cut you off, the meme कैसी मुझे से पास करे, मैं पास नहीं होती most of the time. So yes, this is not the best approach. If you think it is the best approach, it is not.
नहीं, but I have to find a way out ना कि enjoy भी करना है और पढ़ना भी है.
Also, just a disclaimer, like before coming to med school, I was like, मैं मेडिकल में जाके बिल्कुल भी नहीं पढ़ना, मैंने सिर्फ पास होना. टर्न्स आउट पास होने के लिए एक्चुअली पढ़ना पड़ता है काफी.
हाँ, actually is a trap.
पास
लोग
भी नहीं
कहते हैं ना MBBS में तो बस पास होना होता है, आओ ना पास. हम पढ़ के एग्जाम पास करने से it gives you the confidence कि वो चीज हो जाती है.
आखिरी दिन पढ़ के एग्जाम देने.
हाँ, it's not a good thing, लेकिन you should try it sometime. You do gain confidence in yourself.
Well, I think it's very important to point out कि it's a huge difference between जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, हम लोग पूरी साल की बात कर रहे हैं, versus जब prof का time आता है, that's a whole different mindset. Like the people sitting here are the ones जिनकी marks alhamdulillah काफी अच्छे भी आए हैं, and they're ones who worked on stuff and they've done like prof people versus throughout the year. You have to be a different person in profs. उसके अंदर आपके
Yeah, it's a very high pressure situation and a lot is at stakes there, right? Like if you end up failing your profs, there's long term consequences for that. One of those things कि जिसके बारे में आपको फिर सोचना पड़ता है कि oh, this is a like it's such a high pressure situation. A lot of people would describe it as traumatic.
I heard about it. Like this is one of the few things. मैं ना जब first year में metric में था, मेरा भाई मुझे कहता था metric तो आसान है, first year में आओगे तो पता चलेगा. I went first year, हो गया था. Second year के बारे में भी कहता था, हो गया था. लेकिन prof के बारे में भी ये बातें सुनता था. Like legit prof is like a nightmare. It's like एक महीना है, आपने दुनिया की हर चीज पढ़नी है, हर चीज पढ़नी है, सारे इतने आप upper limb, lower limb, thorax सारा. Like it sounds like everything in 1 month. Like you breaking under the pressure, like surviving that. I actually lost like at least 5 to 10 pounds. Like जो कपड़े मुझे tight थे वो मुझे खुले हो गए थे. Prof, like that was prof for me.
मुझे याद है कि my sister used to be like, Ahmed, it's going to be a whole different thing. तुम जानते भी नहीं हो, the stress, like you won't be yourself. गंदी सी हालत होती है, इंसान बस पढ़ रहा होता है. I'm like, बोर्ड एग्जाम्स दिए हुए हैं, A levels, O levels, A star आ गए थे, ये prof भी हो जाए, कौन सी बड़ी बात है. And I was completely destroyed by profs. जो उस टाइम पे हालत होती है. But for those who know, I slept twice while reading one page of Firdaus. Firdaus is like a book which you read when you've lost all hope. It is the smallest book. It's like a chapter worth like 25 pages is there for 4 pages summarized into bullet points. I slept reading bullet points. So that's just how bad I was just done with life. And that's just what profs are.
I feel pretty bad listening to all this because I feel like in profs I was pretty chill. I was like, these are just another exams, and I'm gonna do fine like at the end of the profs.
That's pretty interesting. Though.
Yeah,
I think
I was
maybe
fine.
you got that hit during send-ups. I think
because I feel
that
like there was the
came
worst that
through
could
before.
happen. I failed my send-ups, so I was like, okay, I failed my send-ups, and I gave the re-send-ups and I passed them, so I can pass profs. Like if I can pass those, I can definitely pass. I was pretty chill. Like yes, I was tired, I was exhausted. I wanted the profs to end. I just wanted them to end. Again, I wasn't like stressed out. Okay, this is the worst thing.
Okay, so I might not be a shocker, but like I don't have very healthy study habits. And for elongated, जिस तरह एक तमीम ने बात की कि एक महीना होता है आपके पास, उसके बाद लाइक जिसमें आपने प्रिपरेशन करनी होती है और उसके बाद आपके एग्जाम्स हैं और वो एग्जाम्स भी एक के बाद दूसरा सिर्फ मैक्सिमम 2-3 छुट्टियां मिल जाएंगी वो सब. तो वो जो सारा होता है ना उसके लिए फिर आपको ज़ाहिर बात है कंसिस्टेंट वर्क पैटर्न चाहिए होता है। वो फिर ऐसा नहीं होता कि आपने जो पूरा साल पढ़ा है वो आप एक रात में खत्म कर सकते हो। एंड दैट वाज सच अ स्ट्रगल फॉर मी एंड आई रिमेंबर बिकॉज़ आई हैड अ गोल इन माइंड एंड आई न्यू that I would be very disappointed if I was not able to reach that goal. और फिर वो भी था कि नहीं पढ़ा मैंने पूरा साल, अब क्या होगा मेरा हाल कि अब तो पूरा साल तो कुछ किया नहीं, पूरा साल आसान आसान चीज़ें कर ली और मैक्सिमम चीज़ें तो रहती हैं. And I remember like how just dealing with that and like I was experimenting with study styles during the profs, and that was just like it was very high pressure situations, and how you deal with that. For me it was mostly stuff like it gets very lonely studying alone. So I remember I'd video call my friends and हम लोग रात के हम भी like हाँ मैं अब फजर पढ़ के आ रही हूँ, फजर के बाद 1 घंटा और पढ़ेंगे फिर सो जाएंगे. And that was the kind of hustle that we were going through. उसके अलावा I remember like another coping mechanism that I had was I'm interested in photography. So I remember editing photos used to be a huge thing. I had this trip जो कि हमारे सेंडअप से पहले हुआ था जिसकी वजह से मेरे पास कंटेंट पड़ा था बट इट नेवर
हाँ, एग्जाम्स में ना ऐसे ऐसे क्रिएटिव किस्म के आइडियाज आते हैं ना एंड दे यू डू देम सो वेल कि लाइक खदीजा मेंशनिंग कि हाउ शी गॉट इनटू फोटोग्राफी like thinking of the pictures of a trip she had long ago. It's just a good example of how creative you get in the exams. Like ऐसे ऐसे आइडियाज आते हैं like मैं एग्जाम्स एक तो ये होता है एग्जाम्स की बात क्या करना है, एक ये होता है कि एग्जाम्स के दौरान बंदा बहुत क्रिएटिव हो जाता है, पढ़ाई के अलावा सब कुछ बड़ा जबरदस्त हो रहा होता
आई
है.
थिंक वैसे पता है ये भी बात होती होगी कि आपका दिमाग वैसे भी स्टिमुलेट हो रहा होता
हाई कैपेसिटी फंक्शन कर रहा होता है and like
है.
There's a thing with active procrastination basically. And the thing is, even when I'm not studying, right, there's still going to be a passive stress at the back of my mind, which is telling me कि यार productivity नहीं है, productivity नहीं है, हाँ, कि क्या कर रही हो, the whole day has passed, you've not done anything. So in that moment now, that's when I think a lot of the stuff that I've done during the course of my life, like the original ideas are just like getting opportunities and other type things happen because those windows of time, which is a lot, when I'm procrastinating just for high seas, that's when I look for other stuff to give me that sense of productivity.
Yeah, for me, it's totally different. I cannot go on social media as a coping mechanism. I cannot take that feedback. It distracts me too much. So like my coping mechanism is like something to myself. So me time जिसको कहते हैं my जुबान me time देता हूँ. That pulls me away from the stressful studies and I jump back in. What about you, Saab?
I feel like I didn't tell myself कि props हैं, like the way everyone was talking about कि props are. For me, I was just like, okay, there are exams, and my father, he told me like, oh, your mother, she got a certain in law as well, so even if you get it, that's fine. So when we find that's not the end of the world, and I know it is a big deal. Like Khadijah said, it is a big deal. Like that I did not want again. I was just like, okay, in the end, जो कुछ होता है बेहतर होता है. So like I'm struggling, I'm working for it. So let's see how it goes. I was ready to see the consequences.
I mean, I think one of the difficult things for me was the fact कि मुझे पता था कि मैंने कितना पढ़ा है. मुझे अपना को जितना भी convince करूँ, embryo history को हाथ नहीं लगाया था मैंने, and I knew that I was not prepared. तो मुझे वो था कि I had to prove to myself कि मैंने कुछ पढ़ा होगा. बाकी जो होना है, we'll see what happens, you know. So I think that's why prof was such a pivotal moment, but it taught us so many things कि पढ़ना कैसे, viva कैसे देना है, the way certain teachers take vivas, and not to stress because things usually sort themselves out as long as you've done your due diligence. What's it? Okay, no, now I'm just not making sense anymore. See, this is prof trauma. It takes away your ability to speak. So moving on.
I feel like also seeing everyone around you, they were like profs. Or a week before my first prof, I was like, okay, fine, time to organize an event because I'm so tired of studying. I need a break. Literally a week before profs, and I went to organize an event, and my friends were like, Sahaab, are you not studying? Because they were genuinely scared, like because I failed my stand-ups, and they were like, Sahaab, tum ab padhogi, and I was still not studying the way I was supposed to study. It was kind of scary. Again, I feel like now at this point, I remember the fun parts during the whole stressful time. I remember going out with my friends and like having therapy time during the profs. I remember organizing an event and having the satisfaction, wow, I did it and I still passed my profs. So I feel like at the end of the day, I passed my profs and I'm happy with my result.
Yeah, exactly. Like मुझे भी जो चीज़ें याद है वो यही है कि हम लोग जो पूरी रात वीडियो कॉल पे पढ़ते थे और म्यूटेड माइक्स होते थे और दरम्यान में किसी एक का माइक ऑन होता था एंड इट वाज जस्ट अ वेरी लाउड साय, जस्ट थोड़ी सी सैडनेस एंड एवरीबॉडी एल्स जस्ट बीइंग लाइक बस ये चैप्टर करना है, इसके बाद हम ब्रेक लेंगे, प्रॉमिस. And it is, I think, that wholesomeness of just like, you know, having somebody to rely on or सब. So yeah.
Also, I feel like one thing I like about myself is कि like मैं हर किसी को जाके बताती हूँ I failed my props, like I failed my SNFs, right?
But you also have something to back it up.
Exactly,
You
because
every
when they
society.
ask me why, and I have like all the things to tell कि मैंने ये किया.
Explain what you did.
Yeah, because it's like, because if अगर आपका हर side ही आपकी down होगी ना, तो फिर like what are you doing with your time, man?
That's a turn off.
That as well.
That's a turn off. Like for me, you have to have something going on
like
in your
वो
life.
अलग चीज़ है कि आप मेहनत करो और आपके नंबर नहीं आ रहे.
You have to have something going on in your life. Like
you need to justify all the lesser marks to kind of validate yourself and validate people. Again, लोग क्या कहेंगे is not a thing we endorse at all. लेकिन अपने आप ही you have to kind of justify. Okay, Sahaab says she failed her stand-up, but she's done so many things and she passed her pros.
And I have no regrets.
Exactly. If you've passed your pros, you've done the stuff, you know how to be a good doctor, you've done the clinical side of things, you're good. A lot of things are going to change in third year. The second people get into wards and they realize, यार जो मैंने पूरी गाइडेंस पढ़ी थी, जो लंबे चैप्टर जो सब लोग कह रहे हैं कि मिस करो, मैं बैठ के रात रिपीट करके मैं जो पढ़ रहा था, वो मेरे सामने आ ही नहीं रहे. Once people realize that, they'll actually see how much they might have lost in MBBS.
I think like listening to all of our experiences, it's pretty obvious that everyone has different coping mechanisms. But I think one thing that's common that no one really gave up. It's about sticking to it. Like the coping mechanism different है सारों के. लेकिन one thing was कि having faith कि हो जाएगा, कर लेगा. कुछ लोग टेंशन ज़्यादा लेते हैं कि नहीं होगा, लेकिन they're still sticking to it. I think that's what brings us together. We get through it. हो जाता है. And
like
having that
at
faith.
the end of the day, हम जितने भी coping mechanisms लेके हैं, जितनी भी चीजें को बोले कि ऐसे करो, इतना बनाओ, बस करना है. There's no other option. This is the work that has to be done. We've slacked off, or we've had fun the entire year. Maybe we've even studied. At the end of the day, exams pass करना है, prof करना है. So having that in your head, you just have to get yourself to do something no matter what. यहाँ पे excuses वगैरह काम नहीं करते हैं. जितना भी अपने आप को समझा सकें, everyone's coping mechanism boils down to one thing, which is getting the stuff done.
Also, I think just like applies to like अगर हम थोड़ा सा prof से वो भी हो जाए तो applies to everything in general कि अगर आपने एक चीज को इतना high prioritize किया है ना, priority की बात आ जाती है ना at the end of the day कि फिर everything उसके accordingly streamline हो जाती है कि what's your number 1, what's your number 2, what's your number 3. For me, number 1 is gaining experience, becoming a well-rounded person. For somebody else, number 1 would be academics and number 2 would be, you know, gaining soft skills. Or maybe number 2 would be having fun and number 3 would be, you know, that personal grooming whatever, like, and you know, letting that happen on its own.
You can't blame your environment. Like,
Agree.
There was some alumni who were talking about it and how whether it's, you know, it's worth everything that you sacrifice financially for it. And he said something like that has really stuck with me. He was like कि कुछ काफी लोग ऐसे होते हैं जो आखान आकर भी कुछ नहीं करते और बहुत कुछ लोग ऐसे भी होते हैं जो, you know, आखान आते हैं और सब कुछ कर जाते हैं. So it's really about the kind of person you are and how much do you want to use your whatever resources that you have to make the best out of it.
This was a very randomish podcast. The first episode.
A bit too academic, but I think it was important.
It was needed. It was needed because हमारी life heavy है and like people around us उनकी भी यही life है. So that's what it more or less is. पढ़ाई हो ना हो लेकिन पढ़ाई हमारी life में है ना चाहते हुए.
And we kind of have to. I think one of the summaries or just important conclusions from this entire episode is to realize that everyone's very different in the way they study and in the way they cope with not studying. And figuring yourself out is something that's so important in university life. Because you're going to compare yourself with people that score a lot of marks. You will compare yourself with people that study more than you. And you have to sort of figure out where you stand and be happy with that. Because if you're breaking away, you're rotting away in university life, you're missing out on the best 4 or 5 years of your life. So that's something you should really look into.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Do leave your reviews or comments. The podcast will be uploaded on streaming platforms and our Instagram plug is Chaar Awazaar. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.